Ahoy there! It's Mom's birthday in a week and I need to make her presents, but obviously I need to make it anime related even though she doesn't watch that many. She still has her favourites, so let's get to it! Unlike my dad, my mum doesn't watch a whole lot of anime. She often has trouble telling the characters apart if she's watching too many at once. And she's not a fan of the same tropes happening again and again, meaning she's only watched the best school rom-coms and the best isekais. However, she has watched enough different shows to have a couple of her own favourites. Having a background in geology, she very much enjoyed Dr. Stone and more recently, Ruri Rocks. She claims that the messy desks that the girls had in uni were the same as when she was working with her own professors. So that's one anime picked for her. But super early on into our family anime nights, she would watch everything with us, and really liked Silver Spoon and Barakamon. Excellent picks if I do say so myself. And since we have a lot of our own animals, especially with her once absurd number of chickens, I'll go with Silver Spoon as my second choice, which leaves only the question of what to make. Well, she probably still has that tiny bookmark I made with Alphonse on it back in 2015, so we'll replace that with something Silver Spoon related. And she uses sticky notes pretty often too. I don't have the glue for that, but memo pads will work just fine. Rock themed, of course. And so, when my parents went to New Zealand for a week, I drew 3 precious gem memo pads, all based on what they find in Ruri Rocks, a sapphire, opal, and an amethyst. Which admittedly isn't in the show, but the structure of the crystal formation is fairly similar to some of them, and I like it more since it's purple. Then I knocked up a quick document for printing them. These are sized at 8 centimeters, not square, somehow? My canvas is square, but you do you, that's fine by me. And I added these Ghibli memo pad designs I drew ages ago, just because. After that, it was a matter of getting them printed on my very secure printing setup, on my very expensive and very fancy printer. And I may not have counted the number of pages I shoved in it initially and needed to go back and get more, but we got there in the end. Then it was time to cut and glue everything together. Now I know this doesn't have the most anime references it could, but I know my mom doesn't really like that sort of merchandise. She has a lot of keychains that she's bought from various Studio Ghibli stores on our Japan trips, but this one of May is the only human character she's ever bought. And I could have added in a couple of G-picks or rulers or other geological gear that they use as little icons, like I did for these Kiki or Hal designs. But I honestly didn't think of that until well after I had finished them and the glue had dried. Maybe I will come back and touch them up with some other references later. And that's the first present for her birthday complete. Not too bad for a 2-afternoon project. I'll start the bookmark tomorrow. There has been an incident. While I was looking after her chickens as she has been away, 2 of them have been taken. There are feathers all over this area in front of this very old pen that didn't close properly, and we couldn't find the 2 roosters that lived here anywhere. There was another patch of feathers further down the driveway when I was taking the bin out too. So instead of a chicken-themed bookmark based around Silver Spoon characters or anime chickens, I'm thinking we should do something closer to home. So I drew our front yard where there was once a flourishing flock of over 100 chickens, and now the only pen in the shop was empty. I didn't mean for this to happen, but ultimately this pen hasn't been moved in years and has become part of the landscape now over its time here. It has housed far more than just the 2 roosters that were taken, so I will draw it in memory of all of the birds it homed. You will see me moving a lot of trees and stuff in the background. This is entirely because I took down a rough sketch initially and then tried to work on it while watching TV. This did not work as well as I had hoped, because when I later went back and took a couple of reference photos to make sure I was getting the colours correct, I noticed I had misplaced most of the trees down the paddock. However, after everything, I think it turned out pretty well. I'm not the most practiced at landscapes like this. I tend towards beachscapes with water, sky, and no other detail, or even a generic forest is easier to draw than what is in front of you, because it doesn't have to look like anything in particular. As long as it looks good, you've done well. This actually took me far longer than I anticipated. Almost a week after Mum and Dad had returned from their holiday. but with a little extra time on the weekend, I got it finished just so I could start on the next project, which is drawing the great pirate Roberts. Excuse me. Drawing Roberts the rooster. Now, we've had a lot of fun chooks over the years, but Roberts is definitely up there with the great. Roberts is the tamest chook we have ever had. Is it the breed? Did we handle him a lot when he was a chick? Nope, none of that. It all has to do with his tragic anime backstory. Now, before he earned his name, Roberts was a young, brash rooster just like the rest of them. He let the girls somewhere where the food was and helped protect the flock. But when spring rolled around one year, there was too much competition between the roosters. There was fighting that we hadn't seen before we got rid of our game breeds. Roberts was not the only underdog that had been gravely injured, but he was the only one that received extensive medical treatment. Initially, it was just cuts and bruising like the rest of them, but then his eyes started swelling up. This is something we've seen a few times before. An infection causing either the eye or the skin around it to swell hugely. This little drawing is actually very tame. It's particularly gross in person. But Mum looked after him. We brought him in every night so she could wash his eye with salt water and keep him away from the others. Until, at some point, he stopped going back to the other chooks at all. This rooster started sleeping in front of the front door or behind the outdoor fridge in winter. Because he was completely blind on one side, Roberts earned his name. He'll run up to you when he sees you, and he comes inside to eat the cat and dog nuggets, and he accepts being picked up with great dignity. This, of course, means that he doesn't flap while trying to get down the whole time, and if you accidentally kick him while trying to put your shoes on or something, he'll just move out of the way and come back later. Just before they went on holiday, Mum put Roberts back into a pen, so I haven't been able to get much footage of him. I hope you accept this little shrink plastic charm I've been drawing instead. Sorry for ranting, but I really do like Roberts. He is very friendly. Now, on to printing. For the little Roberts charm, I didn't want to waste a bunch of printable shrink plastic, so I printed a heap of things at once. I'm sure you recognize some of them from somewhere. Then it was a matter of cutting. However, because I printed them double-sided, cutting them out came a bit wonky. That's okay, this is a present, but ultimately it's the thought and effort I put in and not the final result. Right, guys? Anyway, then it's on to shrinking and resining. I was actually out here for ages working on my Animal Crossing project at the same time, so I gained some companions. Here is my resin dog and my resin rooster. Yes, this is the great pirate Roberts. Ah yes, hello again, dude. Now, printing the bookmark itself turned out to be much harder than I expected. I kept getting these weird blue lines. Even though the test prints were working perfectly and I reinstalled the drivers for the printer, it still wasn't working. But then the next morning, I decided to try printing it in black and white to see if it was something in the image format. But instead it decided to stop printing altogether. So I joined my dad on his trip to the nearest shopping centre to buy some new ink, and lo and behold, it worked first try after that. Thanks, Shelian. Then it was just a matter of laminating for protection and struggling greatly to attach the charm. All this took such a long time. I sure hope she likes it in the end, and I'll definitely have to come back to the Ruri themed memo pads another time. But that's all I have for the moment. See you next time!